Thank you. Thank you very much, and thank you for all the participants on this conference. I'm Eveline Ngwenyi, an MPH student with Texila American University, and I will be presenting on this topic, Profile of Stunted Children in Cameroon, which is a secondary data analysis from a national survey that was conducted in 2014. Usually, this survey is usually conducted after every 5 years in Cameroon. So the latest data as far as this survey is concerned is the 2014 data. As we can all see in the background, the problem of malnutrition is really serious, is a serious problem, with consequences falling mostly on the poor and on women. The economic consequences of malnutrition are really that not to be underestimated, though they have been underestimated for years. Presently, when we talk of Cameroon, stunting level in Cameroon, that is within children aged 6 to 59 months, is about 32%. And it is estimated that about 1/3 of children in the economic community for Central African countries, which is made up of about 9 countries, like 1/3 of stunted children is found in Cameroon, meaning that's a great burden for Cameroon. If Cameroon alone could have about 1/3 of these children in 9 countries suffering from stunting, and given the consequences of stunting, be it at the individual level or at the national economic level of the country, it's really a problem. But presently, there is very little data on the factors associated with stunting. So this present study will try to present some of the factors that are associated with stunting, especially particularly in the northern regions of Cameroon, where you have the Adamawa, the east, the far north, and the north regions. Like I said, the purpose of this study is to find out the magnitude and distribution of stunting in Cameroon, and it will provide information regarding determinants of the malnutrition situation in children to government and other decision makers to take steps to eradicate malnutrition in Cameroon. So our study had 2 principal research questions, which were finding out what risk factors are associated with stunting in children at regional and national level in Cameroon. Regional here, I'm talking of the 4 regions I mentioned previously. That is the East, Adamawa, and far north and north regions. And we want to know if these stunting factors affect the different age groups in the same way, or it affects the age groups differently. The aims of the study is to characterize the typical environment of stunting children in the 4 regions. We identify risk factors, and we do a mapping at national and regional level of stunting in Cameroon. Our research hypothesis: we think that the factors associated with stunting in Cameroon are some of the factors, not all, are low economic status of the family, low education of parents, especially the mothers, being that mothers are those that are mostly involved with taking care of the children, and we have that like improper feeding practices and residential area where the children live, the family lives. And we also assume that some of that stunting and some of its factors, the factors associated with stunting, affect different age groups differently. Why is this study really that significant for us, especially for Cameroon? In 2013, Cameroon joined the SUN movement, which is the Scaling Up Nutrition. It is the initiative that fights to address malnutrition. And say malnutrition not just like based on health approach like it was in the past, but focusing on a multi-sectoral approach, given the multifaceted nature of nutrition. So you in a country, you have this group that is called the nutrition working group that have to develop policies and strategies to fight against malnutrition. So we think that this study would provide evidence and guideline on policy elaboration or development for nutrition in Cameroon. So like I said earlier, this study was a secondary data analysis from a mixed survey that was conducted in the 10 regions of Cameroon. So we did an extraction of part of the questionnaire that was based mostly on nutrition and nutrition of children below 5 years of age in the far north, Adamawa East regions of Cameroon. And we used the bivariate ANOVA test to establish the relationship between stunting and some of the presumed associated factors. And a p-value of 0.05 was used, of less than 0.05 was used to indicate significance between relationship between stunting and the presumed factors. Summarily, we realized that in Cameroon, be it in all of the 4 regions, the level of stunting was far greater than WHO serious threshold. WHO serious threshold is 30%, but we can see that in Cameroon, in the 4 regions of study, at national level, first we had about 32%. In the 4 regions, we had 37, 38, 36, and 42% approximately for the Adamawa East, North, and Far North regions. The highest risk of stunting was among children aged 36 to 45 months. And this difference in age was only, stunting affects mostly children in rural areas, though in most of the regions, the difference of stunting in rural and urban areas was not statistically significant. But for far north region, where there was really a statistical significance showing that the rural areas are mostly more affected by stunting than the urban areas of the country, of the region. Like the results from some of the factors we really emphasized on, especially was on the feeding practices that are given with children, especially on diet diversity and meal frequencies. That gives us a combination of the factor we call the minimum acceptable diet. This is a composite indicator that takes into consideration diet diversity and meal frequency for children. So we find out that for all 4 regions, you see that the minimum acceptable diet for all the children, irrespective of the age group, was really low, below the 70%. Normally, it should be an acceptable threshold is 70% in a population, but in all regions, none of it was 70. We had 33.2, 9.9, and 17.5 and 14 in the Adamawa East, Far North, and North regions respectively. But particularly for Far North region, where in terms of the nutrition situation, we realized stunting was the main nutritional problem affecting children within that age group. And like I already said, for all other factors, age group, we realized that for all 4 regions, stunting affected children aged 6 to 11 months and 48 to 59 months more than the other age groups. The difference of stunting between sex was not statistically significant, as well as economic status. But for the far north region again, where we realized that for the educational component, it had a significance between the relationship and the educational level of the parents, mothers in particular. In terms of discussions, the study reviews global poor feeding practices for children across all four regions, with the East region being the most affected. The East and North regions are below the national proportion. The results also show that across all four regions of study, minimum acceptable diet increases with age. These results confirm other studies done especially at the national level, and we think that the reasons, the causes of this poor feeding could be linked to factors such as knowledge, influence of culture, availability, and especially little involvement of men to day-to-day care of children. We are in a context where it's mostly the women that take care of children, but funnily, it's the men who go to the market to purchase. So we like ask, what do they buy for the children when they are not involved in the daily care of the children? As far as recommendations, maybe I go to conclusions. The research, like I said, was a secondary data analysis using the 2014 MAKE study. The prevalence of stunting and underweight amongst children was high. Malnutrition continued to be a problem in Cameroon. Recommendations. We acknowledge the limitations of our study, and that's why we are recommending that a similar study be conducted in the country, taking some of the factors we never took into the consideration, such as food insecurity, water and sanitation, immunization, and health situation. And presently in Cameroon, there is yet no study on really a causal analysis study that could really point out the causes of malnutrition and permit for better eradication. So we also recommend such a study, and we recommend for the meantime to focus interventions in the mostly in rural areas and in the mostly affected age groups to maximize the use and